Hi, MV Fit. Welcome back to your yoga practice. Hope you and your families are doing well and staying healthy at home. And hope that you're also finding some time each day for yourself for physical exercise and also for mental relaxation. Yoga practice can combine those two, so let's get started. I have a couple blocks here. If you don't have any blocks, feel free to use a rolled up blanket or a rolled up towel. And I also have a strap. Well, I actually just have a belt, so you can use a belt in lieu of a strap as well. Let's get started in a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. That can mean cross-legged, legs extending forward, anything where you can feel the spine elongating, where you're sitting up tall, engaging through the core and drawing the shoulders back down towards those hips, head over the tailbone. Let's start with just taking a few moments to kind of release the rest of your day, give yourself permission to do what feels good to your body. You can close the eyes or have a soft gaze down towards the floor. You can turn the palms of the hands to face up if you need a little bit more energy for the rest of the day, or palms to face down if you need a little bit more calming, more grounding. So whatever feels good to you, always remember to modify or skip anything that doesn't feel good. Take as many breaks as needed, and just give yourself permission to do what feels good for your body and your mind. Just take a few more moments here as you start to find your Ujjayi breath, that deep belly way of breathing in and out through the nose, if that's open and comfortable. Feeling the breath in and out of the lower part of the belly region, maybe even the lower side waist, the lower back. And then adding that soothing sound to your breath, as if you're fogging a mirror in front of you, both on the inhales and the exhales. Let's try to maintain this way of breathing throughout our practice. And if you do need to take a few rounds of breath in a different way, feel free to do so. And as best as you can, return to your Ujjayi breath. Let's draw the palms of the hands together at our heart center. And if you'd like to set an intention or a dedication for your practice, go ahead and do so. And then if your eyes are closed, please open the eyes. Namaste. Great to have you join me in your practice. On your next inhale, circle those arms out and up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. Let's do a few more rounds just like that. Getting an easy stretch for the shoulders. Always remember to modify or skip, especially if you have any joint concerns. One more time. And then hands to the heart. If your legs are crossed, let's change the crossing of the legs and we'll reverse that circle. So let's inhale, palms together and lift. Exhale, open the arms out and then relax them down. Inhale to lift. And then exhale, open and down. One more time. Deep breath in to lift. Deep breath out. Arms circle out and down, stretching out through the chest, hands onto the thighs. Let's move into a few spinal circles. Making it feel good to the body. Let's change the direction of our circles. Feeling how the lower back is doing, maybe even pausing to stretch it out, especially if you've been sitting for this first part of the day. And then let's come back to center. Sit up tall, draw the shoulders back and down. And then let's sweep, I'll mirror you, your right arm out and up. Easy side bend and circle. And over to the other side, pressing into the left hand to rebound up. Sit up tall as you inhale. Exhale, side bend and circle. So 2 more times. Keeping the shoulders down, so lots of space for the neck, lots of space for the head. One more time on each side. Feel the lengthening along the side waist. You'll also feel some energy in the side of the body. And then let's sit up tall, take an inhale, and then exhale, turn your head and the shoulders and the chest. Relax those shoulders down, easy twist. If it feels good to drop the chin down a little bit, you can, but you can make any micro adjustments to get the stretch that you need. And then on the next inhale, slowly make your way through center. Exhale over to the other side. Maybe dropping that chin down if that feels good, or keeping the head in neutral position. Let's come back. And then from here, let's move on to our hands and knees to come into tabletop pose. So coming into our tabletop pose, let's find our knees underneath our hips, our wrists underneath the shoulders, or slightly forward if you have any hand or wrist concerns. Flatten the palms into the mat, and let's start by finding a few rounds of our cow-cat. Inhaling to stretch the belly, little arch in the spine, and then exhaling to round. And moving with the rhythm of the breath, finding that comfortable way of moving the spine forward and back. And then let's make our way to neutral tabletop position. You can set the knees a little bit closer together if you need a little bit more balance, and start to extend the right leg and the left arm. Let's first just come into a few rounds of breath here in our balancing cat. Remember, keeping that right leg just at the height of the hip or lower, right toes point down, shoulders drop back, belly is engaged. Notice if you're overarching through the spine, try to keep that spine in neutral position. And then over to the other side. Left leg straight back, right arm. And remember, these lifts of the limbs are optional. You're welcome to keep the toes down. You're welcome to keep the hand down. So find what works best for you. Shoulders draw back, belly engaged. Try to keep those hips even, left toes point down. And then let's release, hand down, knee down. Let's come into more of a moving, balancing cat. So on the inhale, right leg and left arm reach. And then as you exhale, round through the spine, elbow to knee. Inhale, reach it long. And exhale, round, elbow to knee underneath you. Engage through the core. One more time. Inhale to reach. And then exhale, elbow to knee. And we'll just lengthen it out just to get some good stretch. And then release, hand and knee down, over to the other side. Left leg and right arm reach as you inhale. Exhale, engage through the core, round through the spine, elbow to knee. Hug it in. Inhale is to reach. Find your balance. And exhale is to round. Inhale to reach, shoulders always drawing back. Exhale is to round. And then one more reach to lengthen, feel the stretch along the leg, and then place the hand and the knee down. Let's widen those knees and sit it back into child's pose. So knees are a little bit wider than the hips, big toes draw towards each other, and then releasing into child's pose, or your pose of choice where you can get some good rest. You can release your forehead onto the mat, onto a block, blanket, or towel, or even onto your stacked fists if that feels good. And then maybe it's just a gentle sway of those hips right and left to get a little further stretch for the lower back and for those hips. And then let's lift the head. Let's extend those arms forward and come back to our tabletop position. And then from our tabletop position, I'm just scooching a little bit further back to the back of my mat. Let's walk our hands one hand length forward, and then draw the shoulders slightly forward of the wrist. And as we draw the shoulders slightly forward of the wrist, the hips will start to move down, but try to keep the spine in neutral position. So we don't want the hips to be sagging down. We want to get that lift from the lower part of the belly. Feel that the core is starting to tighten. Let's take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, we'll keep the hands where they are. We'll just move those hips almost like a child's pose. Inhale, draw it forward. Shoulders maybe a little bit forward of the wrist if that's comfortable. And then exhale, draw it back. Inhale, let's draw it forward. Maybe keep the knees down. Maybe curl the toes under and straighten the legs, coming into a full plank. And then exhale, softly release those knees down. Release those hips towards the heels. Inhale, press it forward, your plank, knees up or down, tighten up through those legs if the knees are lifted, and then next exhale, release it back all the way into child's pose, and let's get a little stretch for those wrists, for those hands. So if it's been a while since you've done your yoga practice, that's okay. Remember, take it at whatever speed you'd like. Take what you want. You can leave out what you don't want. Just listen to your body. And then let's move it forward back to our tabletop pose. Walk the hands a little bit forward of the shoulders. Let's come into downward facing dog. And if downward facing dog isn't a pose for you today, feel free to come into puppy pose, where you're just walking your arms forward. Keep those hips above the knees for downward facing dog. Curl the toes under. Let's press those hips back and up. And then take a few moments here, pedaling through those legs if you need to. And then finding stillness. Remember to bend those knees as much as you need to. Feel the shoulders to the hips. Notice that the pointy parts of the elbows are pointing out to the side. Find that external rotation at the shoulder joints so that you can draw those elbows, pointy parts of the elbows, to start to point a little bit more down towards the floor. And then let's slowly release those knees and sit it back into child's pose. Taking a moment here. And then let's rise back on up. Make our way back to downward facing dog or puppy pose, your choice. And then softly bend through those knees. And let's take very tiny steps. So let's take our time, taking tiny steps, walking our feet to our hands, maybe getting a little extra stretch along the back of the legs, but you can keep those knees bent as much as you need to. And then when you reach your feet to your hands, let's come into a forward fold. Separate those feet a little bit wider than the hips. Relax, bending those knees, maybe so you can reach the rib cage onto the thighs. And then let's slow roll it up the spine, using the assistance of the hands onto the thighs, engaging strongly through the belly so that we can press into the hands and roll it on up without any pressure on the lower back, adjusting the clothes if you need to. And then inhale, let's draw those arms out and up, and then exhale, hands to the heart. And then separate those feet about hip bone distance apart. Relax those arms down by the sides, roll the shoulders up, pull them back and down. Take a moment here in mountain pose. Find your Ujjayi breath. And then let's circle your right arm out and up. And then as you exhale, side bend and circle over to the other side. Use the core to upright. So just as much of a core strengthening movement as it is for stretching and side bending for the spine. Inhale to lift. Exhale, side bend. One more time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, side bend. Then over to this other side. Nice. And then both arms out and up. Exhale, soft bend in the knees, dive it forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, draw the heart forward. Exhale, release. And then let's rise all the way up, strong flat back, or you can roll it up as long as you're bending at the knees and engaging through the core, and then hands to the heart. Interlace the fingers back behind you. Open up through the chest. So draw those shoulders back. Neutral position in the spine, and then lifting the arms as far away from the body as is comfortable. So you really get this nice stretch, undo any rounding that you might have, especially if you've been on the computer all day. Breathing here, tightening up through the core. And then go ahead and release those arms. Let's find our way into chair pose. So either feet together or feet hip bone distance apart, your choice. And then when you get there, let's bend those knees, sink those hips, and come into chair. Draw the arms forward or up, palms facing each other, move the shoulders down. We'll take an inhale here, and then as you exhale, just the arms move back and up. So really tighten up through the core. Make sure the tailbone isn't lifting up. You want to start to direct it down. So lengthen through this lower back, lower spine. Inhale is to lift. Maybe the heels lift as well. And then exhale, softly release the heels down. Just the arms back and up. Squeeze through the muscles of the legs, the glutes. Inhale to lift. Exhale, release. Inhale to lift. Ooh, and exhale to release. Nice. We'll keep the heels down as we lift the arms. Inhale, and then exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, bend those knees, plant the fingertips. Remember, you can use blocks or books underneath your hands if you need a little bit more height. And let's step the left foot back, coming into a runner's lunge. Separate those feet hip bone distance, and then start to lower those hips. Draw the shoulders back and draw the heart forward. Taking a breath here, finding an easy stretch in the left thigh, left hip flexor. And then if you'd like, you can stay here or sweep that right arm back and up, coming into a little twist. Remember, option is to keep that left knee down. Or if you want a little bit more strengthening, keep that left knee lifted. Circle that right arm back the way it came. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, you can walk your fingertips forward and step back to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Extend the spine, and then exhale, let's move over to the other side. Plant the fingertips down, bend those knees, step the right foot back. Kind of a deep runner's lunge. You can set the right knee down if you'd like. Left knee stacks and tracks, stacks atop the ankle, tracks towards the direction of the center of the toes, and then releasing hips down to find your mild sensation of a stretch. And breathing, finding your Ujjayi breath. And then you're welcome to stay here. If you would like to come into that twist, sweep the left arm back and up as you turn the shoulders and the chest to the left. Notice that the hips have lifted. See if you can lower the hips to that comfortable stretch. Make sure the left thigh is parallel to the long edge of the mat. And then let's slowly release the left arm back the way it came. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, you can walk your fingertips forward and make your way back to the top of the mat. Have your feet in your chair pose feet. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Bend those knees, sink those hips. Inhale, chair pose. Make sure those knees aren't going past the toes. And then exhale, stand up tall and draw the hands to the heart. Inhale, chair pose. Really working through those legs. Exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And then as you exhale, bend those knees, plant the palms, step it back into plank, top of a push-up. Knees can be down as well. I'm going to hold plank here for about 3 rounds of breath. Feeling the work along the front of the body. If your legs are straight, really tightening up through those legs. One more full round of breath here. Try to find neutral position in the spine. And then with your knees down or up, shift the shoulders slightly forward of the wrist. Let's lower to our bellies, keeping the elbows alongside the body. Shoulders drawing back. Flatten the tops of the feet into the mat. I'm going to move my props a little bit. Elbows draw in, shoulders draw back. Inhale into cobra. Engage still through the lower part of the belly so you're protecting the back. And then exhale, release down. Inhale into cobra. Exhale, release. And one more time, inhale into cobra. And exhale, release. Let's curl those toes under and either keep the knees onto the floor or you can straighten, really tighten up through those legs and lift the knees off of your mat and then press into the hands, come back into a plank pose, downward facing dog. Let's take a few rounds of breath here, maybe pedaling it out if you need to. And then start to widen those feet, a little bit wider than the hips, soft bend in those knees, walk the hands back to the feet. So either come into a supported forward fold where you feel your ribs being supported by the thighs. If it is okay for your body, if your body is ready to go into your yogi squat, adjusting those feet, and then slowly releasing those hips down. So your choice. The depth is always up to you. Make sure your joints are happy. If you are in your low squat, upper arms to the inner legs. Try to get some lift with the chest and breathing here. Maybe even bowing the head down. Find this opening of those inner legs. And then let's release fingertips down. Let's invert, coming into a forward fold. Walk those feet more towards hip bone distance apart, and then soft bend in the knees. Let's walk it forward. Come into downward facing dog. Let's step those feet together and inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Let's circle that foot a few times in one direction, and then change the direction of the foot circle. Shoulders are even, chest stays pointing down. And then let's start to straighten the right leg, square off the hips, step it forward, warrior one base. Remember, if it doesn't make it there, use your hand to assist. And then left heel spins down. And then when you're ready, you can use your hands onto the thighs to press your way up, or a sweep coming up into warrior one. Pull the shoulders down. Breathe here. And then let's start to draw those arms down, interlace the fingers or hands on the hips with the elbows drawing towards each other, or using a strap with our palms facing forward or a belt. And let's get some nice opening through the chest. So as we draw the chest back, we're pressing the tailbone down. So engaging tightly through the core. Keep thinking about lengthen that lower spine. Take another inhale. And then as you exhale, upright. Release those fingers. Inhale, arms forward and up. And then exhale, hands back down to the mat. And then step it back to plank pose, top of a push-up. Option one is to go straight back to downward facing dog. Option two is to hold plank for a few rounds of breath, then down dog. Option three, flow through your vinyasa. Knees up or down, shifting a little bit forward. Lowering halfway or all the way down, elbows alongside the body, shoulders draw back. Inhale into your back bend, draw the heart forward, and then exhale. Let's all make our way back to downward facing dog. Stepping the feet a little bit closer together. Inhale, left leg floats up. Exhale, bend the knee and open the hip. Finding just a twist in the hips. Upper half of the shoulders and the chest stay pointing down. Maybe circle that foot a few times, avoiding hitting any curtains. And then let's straighten the left leg, square off the hip. Step or carry it forward, warrior one base. So set the base really well, left knee stacks and tracks towards the center of the toes. And then when you're ready, rise on up. Remember, you're always welcome to use the assistance of your hands onto your thighs, and then pull the shoulders down. Think about lengthening, tailbone down, lengthen, kind of flattening this part of the lower spine, just to make sure we're not overarching through the lower spine. Take an inhale here, and then as you exhale, arms forward and down, either hands onto the hips, elbows draw back towards each other, or interlace fingers opposite, pinky on top, and stretch it out. And then if it feels good to lean a little bit back, thinking about drawing the tailbone down, little arch in the spine if that feels good. And then let's slowly release those arms. Inhale, arms forward and up. Warrior one, exhale, release the hands down. Step it back to plank, and then your choice of how you'd like to make your way back to downward facing dog. Maybe straight back, maybe plank hold, maybe flow through your vinyasa, as long as you can keep that good technique, good alignment. You're welcome to do your vinyasas. And then taking a moment here in downward facing dog or in child's pose. Remember, you never need permission to come into child's pose. It's not just a pose of rest, but it is also a nice stretch for your lower back and your hips, and an opportunity to stretch out those hands and wrists if you need to. Let's draw those arms forward again. And as you're ready, make your way up to downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, step those feet back towards each other. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. And then we'll keep those hips opened as you straighten the right leg. So the tendency is for the chest to want to start to turn to the right. Keep trying to point the chest down. You'll feel some good work in that right buttock. And then let's square off the hip.
Shift forward into plank, knee to nose, hold there, just squeezing it in, rounding through the spine, and then step or carry that foot forward. Set up for warrior two. Spin the left heel down, draw the hips underneath you, and then as you're ready, let's rise on up. Remember, you can press your way up or circle your way up. Coming into warrior two, pull those shoulders down. Feel the strength of the base of the body. Find your Ujjayi breath. And then maybe the gaze is over the right hand. Let's flip the right palm, reach it up and back. Reverse your warrior. Move the shoulders down. Still bend the right knee to stack and track it towards the center of the toes. And then let's make our way back to center. Straighten the right leg. Turn all 10 toes so that they are pointing towards the left side of the mat. Inhale to lift. Exhale, soft bend in the knees. Wide leg forward fold. And then a little side lunging, if that feels good. Shifting the hips, side to side, making sure those knees, when they bend, they track towards the center of the toes and they don't go past the toes. And then let's come back to center. Engage through the belly. Soft bend in the knees if you need to. Even hands onto the thighs if you'd like, so you can rise on up. Let's draw those arms out and up. And then hands to the heart. Let's lift your right heel, externally rotate, turn at the hip, turn the right toes and the right knee to point back to the top edge of the mat. Find warrior two once again. Let's come into side angle pose, that little shift, forearm onto the thigh, left arm reaches up to the ceiling or up and over the ear. Move the shoulder down. Breathing here. Feel a nice stretch along that left side waist and some work as well. Keep pressing into that right forearm, or you can reach lower if you need to. And then we'll circle this left arm all the way back down. Come into a runner's lunge. So separate those feet, hip bone distance, maybe slide that left foot back. Right knee stacks atop the ankle, tracks towards the center of the toes. Step it back. Plank, top of a push-up. Your choice of how you'd like to make your way back to downward facing dog. Make sure you have that really good alignment. Once you start to feel the alignment is not as good as it could be, then go ahead and maybe just straight back to downward facing dog or taking a child's pose. So let's move to the other side. I'm going to just turn around so that you can see the front of my poses. Stepping the feet a little bit closer together. Inhale, left leg back and up. Exhale, bend the knee and open the hip. So shoulders and chest square to your mat. And then keeping that twist in the hips, start to straighten the left leg. You can point out through the toes. You'll really feel the work of that outer left buttock. Breathing here. And then let's now square off the hips. Shift forward into plank, knee to nose. Really engage through the core. And then step or carry that left foot between the hands. Set up for warrior two base on this side. Heel to arch alignment. And then when you're ready, you can press your way or circle your way up to warrior two. Landing and taking a moment here. Feeling the power of the pose. Make sure that left knee is stacked and tracking. Back leg is really strong and straight. And then let's flip the left palm. Reverse your warrior. Nice stretch along the left side of the body. Move the shoulders down. Still working the side waist. Let's come back to center. Straighten the legs. All 10 toes point now to the right side of your mat. Hands onto the hips. Inhale to lift. Exhale, maybe a soft bend in the knees as you come into a forward fold. And then releasing, if you can, the fingertips onto your mat or forearms onto the thighs. And then from here, we're going to take our hands to the outside of the right ankle or upper leg and start to bend the left knee. So bending the left knee to track towards the center of the toes. Make sure they don't go past the toes. Feeling a nice stretch along the side body. And then come back to center. Over to the other side. Hands to the outside of the left ankle or left leg, as long as it's not on the knee, and then bending through that right knee. Making sure that right knee tracks towards the center of the toes, doesn't go past the ankle. And then let's come back to center. Soft bend in those knees, hands onto the thighs. Let's rise with a strong flat back. And then draw those arms out and up. Inhale, exhale, hands to the heart. Let's find our way back to warrior two with your left leg as your lead leg. Lift the left heel, externally rotate. So feel the left knee, the left toes to point to the top edge of the mat. Let's open the arms, coming into side angle pose. So start with that nice strong base, little shift, and then forearm onto the thigh, or you can reach lower. Right arm up or by the ear, move the shoulders down. Pull your bottom in underneath you. So the left thigh stays parallel along the long edge of the mat. Breathing here into our side angle pose for another moment. And then let's circle all the way down, come into a runner's lunge. Separating those feet hip bone distance. Step it back to plank. Your choice of how you'd like to make your way back to downward facing dog. So feel free to take out what you want, and also feel free to add what you want if that feels good. And then let's rest those knees onto your mat and sit it back into child's pose. One more full round of breath here. And then let's stretch those arms forward. Come to tabletop pose. Draw your hips off to one side and swing your legs forward. And then from here, I'm going to grab my belt. So let's get a nice stretch for those legs. So you can use a belt, you can have it looped like I have, or you can have the ends separated, just depending on what feels good. Let's draw those legs together, sit up tall. If you find that you're rounding through the spine a lot, you can slide a blanket or a towel underneath your hips so you can really find that spine extending. Let's strap up the balls of the feet, all 10 toes pointing up. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, very gently hinge forward at the hips. We're not trying to use our arm strength to draw us forward. It's more for some support and hinging forward at the hips until you feel your mild sensation of a stretch underneath those legs. So we're trying to maintain that strong, flat back, long spine. And it doesn't really take, for some, like me, it doesn't take a lot for me to feel my mild sensation of a stretch. I'm pretty tight in the backs of the legs. Relax the shoulders down and just breathing here. So we are maintaining still that long spine, strong flat back. So there should not be much pressure on the lower spine. Take another moment here. And then as you're ready, upright. Bend the knees so you can release the strap, and you can just place the strap off to the side. Let's bend those knees, draw the soles of the feet together, widen those knees out to the side. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, now let's round through the spine. But we do have our hands down or our forearms down somewhere to take the weight off of the lower spine. So find where you feel supported, where you are getting a stretch to the lower spine, but you're not completely just hanging out without any support. And then it feels good to drop the head down. Take a few nice deep rounds of Ujjayi breath here. And then let's start to walk ourselves back to upright. So from our butterfly pose, coming into our hip opener, our half pigeon or single pigeon. And remember, we want the joints to always be happy. So
If coming into pigeon pose isn't for you, you are welcome to come onto your back for thread the needle. But for pigeon pose, from our butterfly pose, we'll draw our weight over to the right, start to heel toe your left foot back behind you. You can start with a bend in the knees, even with the left knee pretty close to the right foot. But let's try to center our right lower leg along the mat, flex through both feet. And maybe you're going to stay here and fold forward until you feel your mild sensation of a stretch. If you can comfortably extend, start to straighten the left leg back behind you any amount, you're welcome to go there, or maybe even coming into your single pigeon pose, rolling to that left thigh. So the left thigh, left knee is in contact with the mat. Just make sure you don't have a space between your buttock and the mat. If you do, your right buttock on the mat, you can slide a towel in there just so you feel some support for that area as well. And taking a few rounds of breath here, finding that mild sensation of a stretch only. If you find that you can't keep that right lower leg parallel to the top edge of the mat, that's fine too. Just keep that foot flexed and take a few rounds of breath here. And then to come out of the pose, we'll just reverse what we did to come in. So slowly drawing your left knee back to meet the right foot, walking yourself up, leaning over to the right so you can find your way back to butterfly pose. Let's take an inhale, exhale, bow forward again. And then let's walk ourselves up and move over to the other side. Shift over to the left and then slowly find your way into your half pigeon pose on this side, flexing the feet, centering your left lower leg onto your mat. And maybe you're staying here. Maybe only if it is okay on your body to go deeper into the pose, you can start to straighten that right leg. Make sure the joints are comfortable though. It should be a pose that you can hold for several minutes, even though we won't be here for several minutes, but that's the comfort level that your body should be when you come into your stretches. Mild sensation of a stretch and nice deep Ujjayi breaths to help relax the body. And noticing if your body is starting to tense up in different areas. Maybe it's the shoulders. See if you can relax those areas. Breathe here. And then as you're ready, let's slowly upright. Draw the weight a little bit to the left so you can find that right knee back to meet the left foot. And then let's extend slowly both legs forward. All right. And then let's start to bend those knees. Center yourself on your mat so we can roll down our backs, coming onto our backs. Nice and slowly, let's find our way into bridge pose. So find your feet and your knees hip bone distance apart. All 10 toes pointing forward, heels are one hand length away from your bottom. And then as you're ready, let's slowly press our way up, coming into bridge. And it doesn't have to be too aggressive of a bridge, more of a relaxed bridge so we can stretch the front of the body, get a little bit of work along the back of the body, and then draw the tailbone underneath you. So the tailbone is kind of pointing more towards the backs of the knees. And then just take a few rounds of breath here. If you'd like, you can extend your arms up, coming into cactus arms or even fingertips touching over the head. But it should be kind of more of a relaxed way. There's some energy happening in the body, but the rest of the body is relaxed and getting a nice stretch. And then let's slowly roll it down the spine. And then when your bottom reaches the mat, let's separate those feet as wide as the mat, rest those knees against each other, and just take a moment here. So whatever arm position feels comfortable. Arms can be up over the head, cactus shape, T arms, or just down by the side. Just take a moment here, feel the body relax a little bit more. And then let's slowly draw those arms back down by the sides. Separate those knees, walk the feet more towards hip width. Start to straighten the left leg as you hug the right knee into the chest. And just give that knee a little squeeze. Let's come into a little twist. Let's place the right foot onto the left thigh. Adjust those hips. So shift those hips a little bit over to the right so that when you come into your twist, the tailbone stays along the center line of the mat. And you do have your left hand here if you want to give a little support for that inner right leg. You could stretch the right arm out to the right. You can turn the head to the right. So finding just a comfortable twist. We're not trying to get the right knee down to the floor. We just want something that feels good for the lower back. We'll take a few more moments here. Start to feel that essence of our Shavasana creeping in. Maybe the eyelids are getting heavy. And then let's slowly come out of the twist. Place the right foot down first. Let's recenter those hips. Bend the left knee, slide the left foot onto your mat. And then as you straighten the right leg, you can draw the left knee in, give it a few little squeezes. And then let's move over to the other side. Place the left foot onto the right thigh. Little shift of those hips over to the left, and then a little twist over to the right to a comfortable point. Right hand is there for support. Maybe turn the head over to the left. Maybe it's cactus arms or T arms with that left arm, whatever feels good. Maybe the eyelids are getting a little heavy. And then let's make our way back to center. Place the left foot onto your mat. Reshift those hips back to center. Bend the right knee. And then draw both knees in. Happy baby pose, or whatever pose feels good. Any last poses, last stretches you'd like to make. Remember, happy baby pose, you can just keep the hands behind the legs or peace fingers around the big toes. Find some movement, any little stretches. Whatever feels good to you. And then as you're ready, release. Feet down. Any tightness in the lower back or any concerns with the lower back, widen the feet and rest the knees against each other. The lower back feels good. Extend those legs long onto the mat. Separate the feet wider than the hips. Allow the feet to flop open, arms down by the sides, palms facing up. And so in our Shavasana, we just breathe in whatever way feels most comfortable. You can close the eyes. I will play the sound of the ocean in our Shavasana. So if you do find that your mind is wandering, feel free to settle it onto the sound of the ocean. And we'll be here for a few moments. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. Send some movement into the fingers, into the toes. And on the next inhale, stretch the arms up to the ceiling, over your head, get a nice stretch. And then as you exhale, hug the right knee into the chest, followed by the left. Give your knees a squeeze. Give your lower back a stretch. And then let's roll onto one side, taking a moment in fetal pose, savoring these last few moments of your Shavasana. And then when you're ready, you can slowly press your way up. Comfortable seat, head coming up last. And when you get to that comfortable seat, take a moment. See if you can keep this feeling for the rest of your day. And then let's draw the palms of the hands together at our heart so we can take a moment to feel gratitude. Let's draw the palms of the hands together. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through your practice. As always, it is a privilege and a joy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Continue to be safe and healthy, and we will see you next time.